Another thing that just popped in my head about fathering is compete with your boys.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there's nothing my boys love more than beating their daddy.
You let them win, right?
No.
Yeah.
I don't let them win. And I think that's part of what they love is they know I don't let them win. But when they beat me, oh my gosh, they're so proud of it. But like John Eldridge always says, the most glaring question that a boy asks is, do I have what it takes?
Yeah.
And so like the moment when they realize they have what it takes to beat their dad in something.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Kingdom Effect. We're taking time out today just before we go into season 2 to pull back the curtains and have a conversation about fathers and sons.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Kingdom Effect podcast. I'm Glenn Buckshot Buckley, as Kevin would call me.
Actually, I would probably call you Buckhouse.
Buckhouse. So yeah, it's great to be back, man. How's your week going?
It's good. I am fighting a cold, so if you have to carry this one solo after about 20 minutes, everybody will know why. My voice just finally gave out. But it's good. I'm going through some life transitions right now, really good transitions, so just navigating those. So it's been good. I had a blast. We'll talk today more about that, but had a blast on the trail a couple of weeks ago with the boys.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely, man. That was a good time. I'm excited about this new format we got going here.
Yeah, you might want to talk a bit about that because I think this will be our official transition into season 2.
You guys that have been long-time listeners, watchers, you guys know that we've recorded these, and myself and Kevin and the guest have been in 3 completely different locations, sometimes different states, different parts of the state, and we kind of did all this recording online. The problem with that was 2 things. One, you run into a lot of technical issues. You know, is this guy's internet fast? Is it slow? Is Restream going to work right? Is Facebook going to work right? And the second thing was we felt like we lost a lot of intimacy. Actually being face to face, and I think the conversation just flows a lot better when you're in the same room with somebody.
I'm a little uncomfortable with the intimacy and face to face with you. But,
okay, yeah.
But I get the point.
I can I'll find a different word.
There you go. No, it's true. It seems like a lot higher energy when we're together. So.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just something about our culture is unfortunately nowadays built around the internet and distance being between people. So it's great to actually be in the same room with somebody. Everything is going to be pre-recorded nowadays versus season 1, and then we'll still be putting the podcast version out. Just the audio on all major podcast formats. So, we're excited about that. We're actually here today in Jackson.
Yeah. So what is it that Jackson is famous for?
Well, let's see. Carl Perkins.
Yeah, Carl Perkins.
Blue suede shoes.
Cool. Wasn't there a song about going to Jackson? What was that song?
That was Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he was talking about Jackson, Tennessee or Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, it could have been Jackson, Mississippi.
I think it was Jackson, Mississippi. Okay. Somebody that's a listener that's a Johnny Cash fan, let us know.
I told my wife I was going to Jackson this morning, and she started singing that song, so I'll have to disappoint her. So most of you guys that have been listening know that we kind of had a camping trip planned, and we went with some buddies. It was me and Buckley and our friend named Jason, my buddy from Mississippi named Scott, and another Scott Thorson, which we've had on the show before. Yep. So we all took boys with us, except Jason. Jason doesn't have a son, so the rest of us took sons with us, and it kind of morphed into a rite-of-passage trip for our boys. All of our boys are in their early to mid-teens. Yeah, so just a good time of life to just speak into them.
Well, it's weird how it turned into that, because I think initially it started out, just a guy's trip.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to take my stepson. I told you, and you're like, oh, I'll bring my sons. And it turned into that. From there, it turned into, hey, let's make this a really cool experience for the boys. We kind of came up with this rite of passage. We had some really great times around the campfire that night. I know we'll get into that, but
and we they all got matching really cool tracker
knives,
which was awesome.
That's my favorite knife, man. It's a tool and a knife at the same time. It just looks really cool. Like you wear it horizontally, not vertically, and it's just. I fell in love with that knife after watching that movie, The Hunted.
Oh yeah.
With Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio, I can't say his last name, Del Toro or something like that, but completely fell in love with that knife after watching that movie.
Yeah,
and so
cool.
I got one, and my stepson, has admired it. And so I'm going to get him one. And I thought, well, I need to talk to all the guys and let's do this kind of ceremony thing. And it was really cool. Really cool.
It was really awesome. The weather turned out good. I mean, it was cold, but it didn't rain on us too much.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
That first night. Honestly, that trail is best as far as the views after a rain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. After a little rainy period, because the waterfalls are fuller. Yeah. There's more water to drink on the trail, to refill with. It's muddy and a little more slippery, but much more scenic. Yeah. After a good shower. Yeah, it was cool. It was a short trip. It was just
2 nights out there. And then the long hike on Saturdays. My GPS tracked 14.2 miles. I don't know what yours was.
Mine was 13 something.
Yeah, so 35,000 steps.
Yeah.
It was intense. So it was so good to give the boys enough challenge where they were exhausted at the end, and you could kind of experience the whole rite-of-passage thing, which I'd love to talk about more on this podcast. That's kind of what we want to talk about going into season 2. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about how we gave them the talk at night, kind of leading into the next day.
Yeah. So, this was my third time hiking this trail, and I don't know that any of the other guys on the trip had ever done it. In your mind, do you think 13 miles, 14 miles, that's not that big a deal? But I knew from my previous experiences, man, this trail kicks your tail.
Yeah, it was rough.
And you and I actually debated, are we going to give them the knives before we do the trail or after? Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad we chose to do it before, because we were just so exhausted.
Yeah. I asked my boys about that too, if they thought that was better, and they both said, yeah, it was good we did it before.
Yeah, I just don't know if there would have been that much conversation.
Yeah, right. No, I know, because everybody pretty much went straight to their tents for the most part.
Hey, man, I had to get in there with Mr. Buddy Heater,
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Buckley talks big smack on roughing it, but then he actually had a propane heater inside the tent. So that was funny.
Again, I knew what to expect after hiking that trail.
Yeah. I will, if you guys want to go before this releases, I will post a picture of Buckley at the end of the trail on the Facebook group. You look miserable, totally miserable, which we all were.
I told you, I think we were a few miles in, and it was either you or Scott. I said, I'll eventually reach a point on this trail where my brain goes, what were you thinking?
Right. Yeah.
You've been here before. You know what it's like. Why did you choose to do it again? And I equate it to what somebody told me one time about tattoos. You forget how bad they hurt until you're getting the next one.
Yeah.
And so I reached that point about mile 8. I was like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many easier trails to do. Anyway, we chose to, give the knives to the boys that Friday night, that first night. So we lit the fire, and we're sitting around the campfire. So we handed the boys the knives, and they were still in the box, so they didn't know what they were. And then you actually came up with, each father going around the circle and, talking about their son, what they're proud of. Yeah. About their son
and what you anticipate for their future.
Yeah, what you anticipate for the future. I think before that, I kind of prefaced the whole ceremony, if you will, with, guys, this is going to be one of the more challenging things you've probably ever done. And we talked about how in many cultures there is a rite of passage ceremony where boys become men. That was what our purpose for that weekend was to have some event in our sons' lives that symbolized, them going from boyhood into manhood. I'll let you talk about the ceremony.
Yeah, it was super cool. I think my boys were both honored, by the words that I had to share. I think all the boys were around and of course it was around the fire. That's where the best things happen, so obviously. But yeah, in African cultures, there's a guy his last name's Van Gennep. Kind of just went into African tribes and studied that whole experience of rites of passage. And in most cultures, historically, the boys are part of the women's community. So when the men are out hunting and, doing all the stuff that men do, the boys are back at camp, kind of just helping the women manage the camp. So they usually send them out overnight, create some false danger, like some fake danger to scare them to death, basically. Put them together in a little group, and then when they get back, after they've survived that whole thing together, then they're shifted from being part of the women in the community to part of the men. You know, they become official men in the tribe. But they also have this like forever bonding experience with each other. I may have shared this before on the podcast, but the best way that I can kind of verbalize it, and you understand this well because you were in the military, but it's kind of like World War II veterans who fought in the trenches together and saved each other's lives and went through that kind of challenging experience. They may not see each other for 40 years or 50 years, you know, and then they have a reunion where their battalion or whatever gets together for a reunion, and they walk in the room from opposite sides of the room, and they lock eyes, and it's like they revisit that experience all over again. And it's like they're communicating like, yeah, I remember that, remember what we went through, all of that stuff, and you don't even have to have words to communicate it, you know? And we probably didn't have that drastic of an experience with the boys, but those African kids, you know, that had to survive overnight in the jungle, there's a bonding together. They call it, the word for it actually is a liminal experience, and it's like transitioning from a previous state of reality to a future state of reality. It's that journey between those two. And then it creates a term that sociologists call communitas, so which is even one step deeper than community. We talk about how great it is to live in community. So communitas is a layer deeper than that, which you had to go through some kind of physical struggle and help each other survive. So that was the goal, is like just building up the anticipation for them that we're going to do this, you know, like the first, we're hiked maybe a mile and a half in, and we come up on this sign, right, that says danger, 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 turn back now. Yeah. If you can't make it for the next 11 miles, then go home.
I think
basically.
It was like the next 7 hours, there's no cell service. Yeah. If you don't have any food or water,
turn back.
Or you're tired.
Or you can't handle a strenuous hike, turn back.
Yeah, turn around.
Yeah. So they just gave them that anticipation of what they were. It was hard. My mantra anytime I'm hiking is there's no pride on the trail. So if you need to rest, take a rest. And I got that from Peter Goodwin, founder of Groove Life, when I would do our bus trips to Alaska. He would always say, no pride in the bush. If you need to take a break, tell us, we'll take a break.
Well, I'm the type of guy that I always tell guys when I go hiking with them, I'll probably start out in the front, end up in the back. Yeah. I'll see you at the finish line.
Which is totally what happened.
It's totally what happened. Yeah. I've got a lot of just injuries over, you know, just living a rough life. And when you do something like the Gizzard, it lights them on fire. Yeah. And so I think it was about mile 9 when we got to the boulder fields. Yeah. I was like, man, I'm done. So
anyway, that was the goal, and I think we accomplished it well. I think the boys felt like they won. They had a victory. And then we went to this, I don't know how to describe this restaurant we went to. How would you describe it?
It was I would describe it as a honky-tonk.
Yeah, there you go.
Honky-tonk bar / grill. But, I got a T-shirt. I got a T-shirt from the guy playing, one of the bands playing, Efron White is his name.
Efron White. Yep. Look up Efron. It was funny. Yeah, it was cool. When we used to film, my first job at Groove Life when I started working there was to take these adventure trips, these it was a YouTube adventure show. And we did crazy stuff, like, you know, we swam with sharks without cages and went crazy extreme snowmobiling in Alaska and catfish noodling in Oklahoma. And my most fun times, like my most meaningful time of those trips was always at night, sitting at the restaurant with all the guys, like looking back on what you did for the day. But it's also just like this, when guys go through adventure and do something that's challenging for them, on the other side, there's always a sense of freedom. Yeah. I don't know if you feel that way, but it's just, I mean, you're tired and you're beat up, but
I had a sense of, I want to pass out on the floor.
I don't even think you ate much.
I did. I ate like half a burger, and I think you ate the other half.
I did. I ate the other half of your burger. I was starving.
Yeah.
Since then, I feel like it's not this big, huge, dramatic shift, but I can definitely tell a different relationship with the boys. You know, that was cool. They I don't know, they just seem to be opening up to me more and looking to me for some guidance. So it's pretty cool.
Same with me. I don't have a biological son, but I have a stepson, and he's been my stepson for almost 3 years now, and he's 14, and we've really, up until this point, zero bonding. Matter of fact, I had asked him to go on multiple trips with me and the guys hiking. Never would go, didn't want to go. So I was actually shocked. I kind of asked him this time out of habit, and he said, "Yeah, I'll go."
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it kind of shocked me a little bit. And then, since then, it's like, I don't know, it's completely different. Like, we're not best buds, but it's completely, we have a different relationship than we had prior to the trip, for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Really cool. So anyway, if you're listening, particularly if you're a father and you have young teenage boys or somewhere in their teen years, I think we would both highly recommend something like that. And the cool thing is you don't have to have a big plan. It's not programmatic. It's just, it's something that's challenging. I think it's important to have some pretty intense challenge related to it. And I think it's important for you to speak into your kid, your son, what you've seen in them in the past and then what you hope for their future. I think that's key.
Yeah.
And then just going through the adventure together.
I mean, it kind of happens for guys anyway. It kind of happens naturally, just out in the woods on a challenge, on a, I didn't at any time feel like any of it was forced.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I had to force myself to walk that trail, but
yeah.
to walk across the boulder field. But the communication, the camaraderie, all that stuff, it was not forced at all. It just came so naturally. And I think a lot of times, men are scared of that. They're scared. How am I going to do this? I'm going to have to forcefully do this. And you really don't. And I don't know if it's being in the outdoors, if it's being away from home, if it's the challenge like you were talking about. I don't know what it is, but something just changes. It's not like at home trying to talk to your your son.
Yeah,
it's a lot different. And I think part of most rite-of-passages, if I remember right, one of the elements of that is separation.
Right, separation from the community.
Right. And so maybe that's what it is.
When we take guys up to Alaska for the summer to do these 7-day adventures in the bush, though they would not be nearly as effective and impactful if you had a cell phone that you could communicate, and check in every day. So that's the separation piece. And honestly, for the first 3 days, guys get mad, like just angry because they've had to let go of every tie to the outside world, and it just makes them mad, and they want to take charge and take control. We've had older guys, demand that we get a bush plane in to get them out of there on day 2 and 3. Like, not what they signed up for, right? But about day 4, that there's I think what happens a lot is your body, your adrenaline dump kind of starts to subside, and neutralize. And I always say it's day 4 is always my favorite day. It's the first day that guys see things they haven't seen for years or ever, and think about things that they've never thought about. And so, but that's the separation piece of it, is like just getting away from your comfort zone.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, actually, about how a lot of my ideas come to me when I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
Or on the can, one of the two.
Yeah.
And he said something to me that I never thought. I just thought it was because those are just the 2 places that it happens. But he's like, yeah, in the shower, you're standing there and all you can see is white. If you have a white shower, all you see is white. And so your brain has to be stimulated, so it starts stimulating itself with ideas and thinking and things like that. And I never thought about that.
Yeah. For me, it's like, for some reason, when I'm playing some stupid little mindless game on my cell phone, if I just sit there and play it for 30 minutes, it's just like a whole new world opens up. I don't understand what that's about, but yeah, that tends to happen.
Well, I'm going to get you a fidget spinner for Christmas.
It'd be perfect.
I think the one thing I would just reiterate that we talked about is, if you're a dad and you're struggling with bonding, communicating with your son, stepson, nephew, anybody that you are a fatherly example to, and you're hesitant or you're scared or you're nervous about how to engage in those conversations, my advice to you would be just get away.
Yeah, that's good.
Get away from the distractions. Don't try to force it.
Right.
Just go and hang out. And I think if you do that, it'll just come naturally.
Yeah.
I actually think you and I kind of, me more than you, kicked this idea around, but I used to do this very thing we're talking about. It wasn't a father-son thing per se, but me and a friend of mine used to go to Youth Town, which is a facility here in Jackson for boys that are struggling with some type of addiction. And so we would take the boys that are in like the last phase, like they're fixing to go home, and we would take them out on the campus there, like 50 something wooded acres and a lake, and we take them out and teach them survival skills, how to hunt, fish, build a shelter, start a fire, all this stuff. Since we've been back, I've been kicking around the idea of doing this 3 or 4 times a year and just open the invitation up to, just people in my group, my circle of influence that want to, hey man, I'd love to bring my son and come do something like that. I'm just not an outdoorsy guy. I don't know how to do it, and kind of facilitate this process for, guys and their sons.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think that's another thing I hear a lot from guys is there's one guy I'm thinking about in particular. It's a really good friend of mine, and just he has no idea how to facilitate anything like that, So that would be a good opportunity for him to kind of be along the journey with his son, in a situation where he's not even comfortable himself. Yeah, just add a whole new element to it.
Yeah, well, I know one thing that was difficult for me to navigate and become. I mean, I've been a father. I've got 3 biological daughters. I've only been a stepfather for, like I said, almost 3 years now. I was brand new to that and having to learn how to be a stepfather. I've always, like, my girls have a stepfather. I'm familiar with that process, but I've never been the step parent myself. And one of the things that always scared me, being the biological father, was, man, I don't want this stepfather stepping in and fulfilling roles that belong to me.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Right, like this event in your life, that's my thing, right? I own that.
Yeah,
that to be involved in that, and so that's always been a fear of mine. So when I became a step parent, especially with a stepson, I have to be really intentional and think through not overstepping the things that I feared would be overstepped.
Yeah.
Right?
You actually, I remember when you were sharing your thoughts about your stepson, you actually mentioned that.
Yeah. Like we actually invited my stepson's father to come on this trip. And that was one of the reasons I did that, was because, this is something I felt like I would respect that invitation to come do that.
That's amazing.
So it's hard to balance, right? Because you want especially like with me, like, my ex-wife is the primary parent, so she has the kids more days than I do. And so on one hand, you're trying to balance, I want the stepdad to be a good stepdad. I want them to be involved in my kids' lives and play an active role, and when I'm not there in my absence. But then you're also fearful that in your absence they're going to step in and do things that, in my opinion, would be like, reserved for dad.
Yeah.
And so I catch myself being just super intentional about thinking through that type of stuff when something like a rite-of-passage or
how old was he when you became his stepfather?
I'll say he would have been 12.
12, yeah. So they're pretty far along their development cycle at that point.
Yeah.
My mom was remarried she got divorced when I was 12 and probably remarried at 13 or 14. And I really never called my stepdad dad. Like I just, like that was what was in my heart, is like, there's a space that only one man can fulfill, can fill.
Right.
And so I could not call him dad. And I remember his mom would get offended by that.
Yeah.
Because she didn't understand why I couldn't call him my dad. But I was 13, so I was basically, like, in biblical terms, you're a man at 13.
Yeah.
you transition from boyhood to manhood between 12 and 13. So
Yeah, my daughter, my youngest daughter now is 9. I don't think she calls her stepdad dad. She calls him by his name.
Yeah.
And I just but I can remember, like, she's in my house. She'll be trying to get my attention, say his name, catch herself.
Yeah, right.
And his name actually rhymes with dad.
Oh,
so
yeah. That's funny.
But, so there's times like that I'm like, you cringe for a second, because they're trying to get your attention but saying his name. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, but, at the same time, the child for sure is in a situation that they sure don't know how to navigate.
Right.
And it's confusing to them. I just have to be super intentional because I know what it feels like to have my children's stepfather step in and do things that I feel
right
are part of me,
right.
My responsibility. I'm super intentional about it.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Good
word, man. Wisdom.
I don't know, man.
Wisdom from the Buckshot.
Most of my wisdom comes from, being a bonehead and just having to learn things the hard way. But the older you get, the less of that, happens.
So anyway, I mean, none of us. This is the major point I think is none of us are equipped to be fathers. Most of us. I mean, I love my dad. In the end, we had a really great relationship, but I don't consider him like what I would hope for in a father when I was a kid. Like he would. I would be dying to help him fix the car because I don't know if he loved to work on cars or we were just so poor we had to work on cars. And then I would go out to help him, and he would be underneath the car or dive down inside the hood working on it. And my job was to get his tools. Yeah. He said, "Can you get me a screwdriver?" Or, and I remember just having a desire for him to show me how to do it. And so, I mean, like I said, I love him. We had a great relationship in the end, but I wasn't equipped with tools. To know how to have boys. Yeah. And I think particularly our age group, our dads are baby boomers. Mm-hmm. And they're just all about working hard, getting things done, non-emotional, and practical. So for my dad, it was faster for him to fix the car and me to hand him a tool than it was helpful for him to get in there and show me something.
That was my experience as well, and my dad also was career military. Yeah. So you had the military discipline and pushing down emotions. You know, right. I guess it was amplified a little bit. Everything you said about the baby boomers, but you know what? Today, my dad and I probably have, like you just said, probably have a better relationship today than we ever had. Mm-hmm. As a child. Yeah. And so,
but the other side of the equation of what we're dealing with today is like men are evil. Yeah. Like true manhood is bullying, and bullying is evil, and so we shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's a whole attack on manhood that creates. I think that's our challenge, part of our challenge to overcome. Yeah. To balance that out.
Everything's so passive today in today's culture. I equate it like this. World War II. I'm fascinated with that generation. I love World War II movies. I love World War II documentaries. I think the reason I do is there were men committing suicide because they weren't allowed to volunteer to go fight in the war because they had a heart condition. Wow. Right? And you couldn't make people join the military today. There was just that sense of manhood and pride for country and being a warrior.
Yeah. So let's get controversial.
Yeah.
Will Smith. Uh-huh. What do you think? Was it honorable for him to protect his wife? Was it dishonorable?
I think it's honorable to protect his wife. I think it was dishonorable the way he did it.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Which is it's fascinating because I struggled with it, and I actually mentioned something a couple of days after in a meeting, and someone just really checked me on, and I think the girl, it was a lady that was checked me on it, and I think she said the same thing that you just said. It's great that he took a step, but he just has no idea how to how to do it.
Well, here's the thing. It's honorable that he stood up for his wife. It's honorable that his children got to see him stand up for their mother and his wife. He modeled what a husband should be. What he modeled in a bad way for his children is how to protect.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
When it's okay to use violence.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with violence when it's appropriate.
Right.
Chris Rock wasn't, throwing knives or pointing a gun or assaulting, Will Smith's wife. In that instance, yes, inflict violence to protect your wife. A bad joke, man, we're going to have a talk after.
Yeah, right, yeah.
After the show.
Yeah, it was interesting to navigate that. I was listening to, I think I was reading an article or maybe it was a video, maybe it was an interview where they said, I guess apparently Will released his autobiography 4 months ago. In the first chapter, it says, my biggest regret in life was the fact that I would stand back and watch my dad abuse my mom. Yeah. And so this was his attempt to reconcile and redeem that. Yeah. It's one of his greatest.
Here's the thing. Do I think Will Smith's a bad guy because of what he did? No.
Right.
I think he's catching a lot of just people, culture over exaggerating what happened. Was he wrong? Yes. Does that make him a bad dude? Does that change what I think about Will Smith? Absolutely not. Yeah. I think once people know the history, like you just pointed out, and the history in his marriage. I think Will was reacting based the way he could. He had experienced that trauma of his dad beating his mom. He had experienced all the trauma that's happened in his marriage. And a lot of times biologically, we just can't control. It was a self-control issue is what it was. Right. And in that particular instance, because of what Chris Rock said, it just hit all the right triggers that caused Will to lose control.
Another thing I learned a few years ago about raising boys is sometimes, there's two different ways that you engage with your boys. One is engaging what they love. If you see that a boy, one of your kids has an interest in something, then support that and go do that with them. There's a guy that I highly, highly respect as a father that I work with. And at 12 years old, he saw that one of his boys was extremely interested in creativity and making videos. And taking pictures. He bought him like a very expensive camera at 12 years old, just to support his passion, to do this thing.
I can support his passion with a cheap camera.
Right. And then this other boy, he bought his first beater car to tear down and re-put together at about 12 or 13 years old. And both of those boys are like, if I could find boys that I would want my boys to be like and model their life after, it's those two. But the other side that people forget a lot of times, because it's hard work, is to involve your boys in the things that you're passionate about. Yeah. And it's really hard if they're not passionate about it. But you might be the one, and that might be the experience that makes them passionate about what you love.
Yeah. I'll give you a good example of that. My stepson is in that, I'm going to go up to my room and play, Call of Duty all night long.
Right.
And so I don't play as much as he does, but we talk about gaming and we talk about, playing stuff like that. And so that was me engaging in what he's interested in, and also like shooting terrorists on the screen. That's fun. Yeah. But one of the things where I got him involved in the trafficking stuff was we went to it was our whole family, but we went to Walmart. We bought a bunch of blank sweaters, and then we bought all the crap to make ugly Christmas sweaters. And we went to the safe house and made ugly Christmas sweaters with all the survivors at the safe house.
Yeah, it's cool.
And so I didn't take him on a rescue, obviously, but he got to at least get a taste of what it was like to serve and be around people that normally society tells you to run from, to turn your back to not touch, to those people over there. Yeah. And so, I mean, here he is sitting at a table, passing glue sticks
Yeah.
and, tree garland and stuff around, making ugly Christmas sweaters with these human trafficking survivors.
Another thing that just popped in my head about fathering is compete with your boys.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there's nothing my boys love more than beating their daddy. Like right now we're in the middle of this big long.
You let them win, right?
No.
Yeah.
I don't let them win. And I think that's part of what they love is they know I don't let them win. But when they beat me, oh my gosh, they're so proud of it. So we're in this it's been like a year-long series of ping pong games. We have like this giant scoreboard on the wall of how many games they've won and I've won. And you probably heard this before, but like John Eldridge always says, the most glaring question that a boy asks is, do I have what it takes?
Yeah.
And so, like, the moment when they realize they have what it takes to beat their dad in something, whether it's chess or, ping pong or fill in the blank, video games, I play, my kid, it's kind of, it's trended out now, but I started playing Fortnite with my boys, and they loved that they were better at it than me. Yeah. Like, they loved it,
Well, Maddox loved that he finished the trail before I did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So, for the dads out there, see what your kids are passionate about. Join them, even if it's not fun for you, because you're investing in them. Invite them into the things that you're passionate about to see if that sparks an interest for them. And then compete with them, I think, are 3 really good bullet points.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Yeah. I like, too, teach them things that I'm talking basic stuff, like how to shave.
Yeah. Right.
How to lift weights, how to manly stuff. Don't let them learn it from their buddy or their buddy's dad or the internet or teach them. When you start teaching them man things, like you said, that makes them go, man, I'm a man.
Yeah, right.
And dad cares enough. Dad thinks I have what it takes, or else he wouldn't be teaching me these things.
I do remember my dad kind of going through the whole shaving thing, but for the most part, I had no direction, guidance. Yeah. And it wasn't. I mean, my dad was broken in his own ways, and he was trying to survive financially, so he was working, 60, 70 hours a week. So, but that's really good. Buckley is be their guide. Let them be the hero, but you be their guide.
Yeah. So I'm going to teach Maddox how to grow a beard because I think real men have beards. But
but see, not everybody can do that, so you have to be careful with that. I speak that from experience. Well, cool, man. That was a great talk for dads.
Yeah.
So we do have guests. We have our next 3 episodes. We've got some really great guests. So just because it's season 2, don't mean we're just gonna do a monologue with just the 2 of us. But we just wanted to take a chance, A, to give you guys a look back on our trip with our boys, and then B, to just have a talk with dads, because it's a great thing to do. Well, thanks for listening. Thrilled to have you on the podcast. Hey, do us a favor because it helps us out and gets the word out. If you find this on Facebook, like and share and comment. That'll help it get out to more people. And if you find it on the podcast platform, then make sure to give us a review. Shoot us some stars. I think I've heard Buckley say before, they don't even have to be good stars.
That's right.
Just if people are engaging, it
don't
makes a difference.
Don't have to be 5. You can give us half of one.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
I do want to say one thing quick before we go, Kevin, on this episode. Just want to give a big thanks and shout out to Journey Church. Those of you watching us on Facebook, that's where we are. They let us use this room all day long.
Yeah, that's awesome.
to do this. So thanks, guys, for that and helping out the Kingdom Effect.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on the Kingdom Effect.